Alright, today is the day we're gonna get this 9560 down in the shop. Travis is sending manure from the front pit here down to the lagoon. It's getting agitated up, and then there's a pipe that goes underground all the way to the lagoon, and one of the guys is putting bedding sand in now. So Travis is just agitating that up there, and away she goes. So we've got this 9560 parked in this bunk over here. We'll go ahead and take it down to the shop, get it off the trailer, get it inside, and have a little look-see to see what's going on with it. Well, we'll pull on the scale just because, and we'll see what this weighs all together. Any guesses, anyone? There we are. We are 78,000 gross. Alright, we have a slight problem here. Now, when I hook these chains up on the front, we got just a couple of clicks out of them binders there. Now what we did is we backed the tractor up. Well, I don't want to get in and out of this thing too many times, but I'm gonna have to do the same thing to get that other binder undone. The chain is caught against it, so I can't release the binder that's pulling from this side to that side. So we'll get some, I'm just gonna pour water in it for now, because we're just gonna be taking it inside and we're gonna drop the coolant out of it anyways. I don't want to waste putting antifreeze into this, so we're gonna dump some water in there, get that coolant reservoir up to where it needs to be, start it quick, pull it ahead, shut it off, undo them chains, pull the C5 out of the way. We've got the hitch unhooked from the nose of the trailer here, and then we'll back it inside. So at this point, I don't know if it's gonna start, but it should. Okay, so I've got the coolant reservoir is full of water. I ended up having to put about maybe 7 gallons in there altogether. That 5-gallon jug, the first one I put in, wasn't enough. So while I was pouring that in, I happened to think I should, before I even start this, drain just a little bit of oil out of it to see what is in the base, because if there's any water or coolant in the base, that should be in the bottom of the oil pan. We just want to get a little inspection of that since it's been sitting for 10 days. We'll drain some out of that first before we go and start it. We could do it inside, but it won't be setting as long as it has been right now. So I need to find a way to climb down in here. The drain plug is now right about, oh, it's right in there. So I'll have to shimmy my way in there, and we'll see what that oil looks like. Yeah, once you get in here, it's not bad. Even got a chair to sit on. Oh boy. All right. Got a quarter drain on this oil plug thing here, and I probably should have grabbed myself an extension. I don't know who changed the oil on this glass, but they got this pretty tight. All right. Alright, we got that safety plug out. Now, I probably should grab onto you guys. We'll see how this works. Alright. I think we're focused in, I think. Yeah. Now, here is the drain elbow. I took the plug out of it, and then we've got just a quarter turn here. Oh, it is draining slowly. So far so good. So far it looks like oil, and I of course have a piece of dirt down in here. I put you guys over here. I need to reach in. Actually, it's a freaking stone. How did I get a stone in there? I dumped it already. So we'll let that drain a minute. I want to get a decent sample. Now I've got some, looks like gear oil or something in there. We'll let that drain here for a little while. This pail wasn't completely clean, but we'll drain a fair amount in here. I should have dumped the rest of that gear oil out, but I didn't. I was assuming that if we had any coolant or water, you know, it would have come out either clear or green for a minute. However, the way it's flowing right now, it kind of looks like it's got some chunks in it, but it hasn't run in 10 days, so whatever's in there should have worked its way to the bottom here. So that is draining awful slow. Of course, I should have pulled the dipstick up above. So that ought to be enough. So we'll just shut that off. I'm not going to worry about putting the safety plug back in this. Now I need to crawl out from underneath here without tipping this over. Alright, we had no luck starting this, so we're thinking it needs a new starter. So we're going to try to get it backed in the shop and start diagnosing it from there. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get a starter ordered for it here. So Tim's going to try to get her wiggled inside here. And we'll see how he does with this project. He should do all right. Tell him he's good. Tell him keep coming. We gotta watch our height. We gotta watch the height. Jared, guide that side, will ya? Straight back, Tim. Straight back. Jared's on that side.
Alright, like, kind of straighten it out. You're in angle now, straighten it out. Hurry up.
Alright, so we have this rear elbow assembly here removed from the Egr Cooler. The Egr Cooler is this piece here. And how this works is it ends up pushing exhaust through this manifold here. And they call this an Egr Cooler because what it's doing is it is actually recirculating the exhaust. It pushes this exhaust through. It wants to cool it, and then it's blowing it around the other side of the engine, and it's actually going into the intake and re-burning these gases to kind of burn the unburnt fuel, if you will, and carbon. And it's supposed to be a cleaner system to work on these engines, but you know, a lot of guys are having some trouble with them. Obviously we are here. So this cooler itself has coolant that runs around in through this membrane here, if you want to call it that, and that's cracked somewhere, and it doesn't look like this is the original one because the original ones were green in color. We need to find out if it's the cooler itself or if it's the actual Egr valve, because that, I believe, is cooled with coolant as well. So we're gonna have to dry that out. Everything is dripping there, but I think this was right full of coolant right up to the top. However, the coolant could be coming from that Egr valve as well. So we're gonna have to do some research here. Alright, so I misspoke earlier. The Egr valve that's on the back of the engine here is not cooled by coolant. So I misspoke there. Now what we've done is I ended up sucking with a vacuum cleaner the coolant out of this Egr Cooler. And I don't know if you could see down in there, but it is slowly, I mean very slowly, filling back up. You can see it just kind of swirling in there. And that liquid should not be moving. It's moving because it is sweating. It's got material coming into it from the overflow tank. Kind of see it swirling in there. So we're gonna let this sit here and we're gonna see what it looks like in 12 hours here. if this is right full back up to the top, it's going to be pretty obvious that it is definitely leaking. We're 99% sure as of right now that that is what's going on. But we'll go ahead and fill this coolant reservoir back up with water. I don't want to put any more coolant in it. And we'll just let this sit for tonight. And we'll come back to it in the morning here. So we're going to have to take all this stuff here off. I had all this apart on the 9410. So we'll go ahead and see what it's like in the morning here. Well, we're into the next day here. And before we go over and look at that 9560, we'll show you Jared's progress on this thing. So you got this steering valve all done. You put it all on the other day, and what happened?
Oh, the line leak.
Yeah, one of the lines leaked here. Which one?
This one.
This one. So he had to get this line here ordered. Now he's got that all on there. And he's ripped all of the wiring out. And now what they're doing is trying to get what off?
Oh, the muffler.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to get a torch after that. And we'll just melt this off of there. And we'll have to get a new one. Oh, probably 20 years ago, when I painted this before, this top extension to the muffler was rotted out, and I welded that extension pipe on there. So that muffler has been on there for a long time, and it ain't coming off right now until we get after it with the torch here, and then that's just gonna, of course, ruin it. Maybe you can get it off, but I want it replaced anyway. So we're getting closer and closer to getting ready to throw some primer on this. What have you got left for parts to come here anyways? Just a bunch of stuff. You got the rebuild kit for the seat is here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been a slow progress, and now him and Travis are gonna go to working on a manure pump here. So we got these guys here working on the tail end of the alley scrapers. We had to wait for some parts to come in for these, and mainly the skids, which are here somewhere. Where are those skids at? Okay, right there. He ended up welding these plates on the bottom here. We put a 6" by 1/2" plate on them just so that we can kind of preserve the trucks. And then we end up having to replace these winches occasionally. This is where the cable goes into, and that's how you tighten your cable up. And they have put new rubber on these arms, and then we chain from the chain plate here rather than up on this spot. So they've been putting stuff like that together here. And how many you got left? 2. And then they'll have this project done, and then we're gonna work on a roll of Harrow, I think, next. So that'll be a fun project, won't it? Yeah. What's in that box right there? Hey, there's some sawhorses next door. Why don't you get those? Then you wouldn't have to bend over.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a peek at what we've got going on here. And if you recall from last night, we ended up sucking not all the coolant out of this Egr Cooler, but we sucked some of it out. And that is, of course, filled right back up again. So we're gonna go ahead and start disassembling this, and hopefully we don't break anything as we go here. So I think before I do anything else, I'm gonna drain the coolant so that I'm not dealing with it leaking on me the whole time here. So let's go ahead and start taking this apart here. For anybody that's gonna do a job like this, you know, I would highly recommend putting the tractor on a trailer first. It's just such an awesome experience. So
Let's go now, huh? Maybe? Alright. There.
Alright, so that is not supposed to have any coolant in it, but this is gonna piss on me
None
here.
outside?
Might better let it go that way.
So, give it to me up here, I'll just hand it down to you. Something.
Alright, we've got the Egr Cooler off of here. I'm gonna go in now and order some parts into the office. I need that little square wedge block that goes underneath that one there and the one back here. So I'll have to get that bolt out. I don't know what that crap there is. I'm just assuming that crap got down in behind the Egr Cooler because it can walk in on the sides here. And I think all that there is that. This line here I couldn't get off, so we're going to be able to just put that back on. However, I took this line off right here that I probably didn't have to take off, and I took the lines off the turbo. I probably could have wiggled the cooler out behind that, but I just wanted to make some extra room here so that I could get that out of there. Now I've got to go and order the O-rings and the various gaskets and everything that I'm going to need to get this Egr Cooler, the new one, on there. So we're going to order some parts. We'll go over to the bench now and we'll look at the cooler itself. I doubt we're going to be able to see any cracks in it because it's all going to be internal. So Alright, it took us a little bit to really test that. The crack is probably not that big. We charged the exhaust side first. Couldn't tell if air was passing through from the exhaust side to the coolant side, but when we pushed air through the coolant side and capped off this other side, we could hear the air going through. And then once he put his cigarette in that other end, you could see the smoke blowing back out the other hole. So I've got to hurry up and order the parts I need now before they can't put the order in for today, because I want to try to get this stuff for as early as tomorrow, which that might not be possible What we're going to do after I order the parts for it, we're going to take the diesel particulate filter off the exhaust pipe, and we're going to send that over to D&W Diesel and see if it's got any coolant in it, and if it can be cleaned, if they can clean it. We don't want to get this all done and then realize that it won't go into a regen. This was advised to me to do. Jake advised me to do that, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We've got the starter on there. We burned the starter up from trying to start it under load, and we might as well go ahead and clean up the tools off of our workbench, which is the tire, and we might as well turn it over and just let it push that coolant out, and hopefully that works. So I'm gonna go in and order some parts quick, and then we'll crank this over and see how we make out. All right, now we're gonna crank this over and just get the coolant off of the top of the pistons here. We got the fuel pump unhooked. Yeah, go again. All right. He's good. It should be fine now. All right, we knew we were gonna have a mess with oil lines and everything else unhooked, but we ended up pulling the fuse for the fuel transfer pump so that it wouldn't start. Now I got some sanding going on here, and Kerr is mounting up some new tires and rims here. These are gonna go on truck 15. It was the only truck that had 22 5s on it, and the tires that we had on it were actually on the Freightliner because we were running flotation tires on the Freightliner, and truck 15's got flotation tires on it now. So yeah, now we'll have some 24 5s to put on there, and we won't have any 22s to monkey with anymore. Right, Bob? You getting your sanding done? Yeah. Now he's just got to put some wind in them, right? Got to get some wind in them. Well, we've got everything taken apart on this, and I've ordered the parts that I need, which I should see that stuff here by noontime tomorrow. The parts that it's going to take to get this back together, which is going to include the Egr Cooler itself, is right around $2,400, and that also includes this green piece of cowling here or whatever. That was cracked up at the top, so I figured we'd put a new one of them on there, and that was $160. So we've got the exhaust pipe tore apart too. There's the dosing system is in the bottom, and that's what kind of starts the emission stuff, and then the diesel particulate filter is right here, and we're going to take that over to a diesel shop and have them look at it. I don't know if they can actually clean it or not, but if that is plugged in any way from the coolant, it won't do a regen the way it should. So we want to check into that, and if there is any maintenance they can do to it, we might as well have them do it. That is $7,200, this piece right here. $7,200 for diesel particulate filter. So that's gonna do it for this video. The next video will come back at you with the reassembling of this and whatever else we have going on in the shop here. I can show you this, and you'll see this put back together in the next video. But this is a Husky H5 manure pump, and they are somewhat rebuilding it here. It needed a new fan housing, and one of the agitation ports, which is the top one on this, was full of holes. So they're gonna put a new one of them on there. And then it's been like a year and a half, I believe it was. I ended up having to put a new 8-inch pipe on it. So that is gonna do it for this one, folks, and we will catch you at the next video.